All right, everybody. Have someone. I have a guest that's going to be coming on the ship today.
Okay.
Kevin Dallas, because Branson's not back yet. He's still out grieving his tomato. I guess I don't know. Uh, I'm a huge fanboy of his podcast, Boomstick Video Club. Like real talk,
Oh,
it's great stuff.
Boomstick is like Evil Dead.
I that's where I'm assuming that's where he got the name of it from. I've never actually met him in real life,
Oh,
so
wow.
I haven't asked. He's a good friend of my buddy Dave, though. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, just because Branson's not here.
John, how are you?
What?
Was that Branson?
Did that come from outside the space station?
I can see into your soul, and it is black and cold. You have caused the death of my space tomato, and now you will pay. I challenge you to Mortal Kombat,
Bro, I will break you in half.
What?
and then the two halves will break you into three
Okay.
pieces because I am undefeatable.
Hey! I will whoopsie yourselves out the window if you guys don't chill out. Not in front of the guest!
Prepare yourself to discover a world of terrible movies. High above the planet Geekery, a group of intrepid explorers hover over the dangerous planet in their fabulous super-orbital spacecraft. Their mission? To conduct a complete analysis of movies known throughout the universe as terrible. So grab your space popcorn, grab your freeze-dried ice cream, and join us for today's mission of discovery and wonder. Are these movies better than the galaxy thinks? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf?
What is up, guys? Welcome to The Bottom Shelf, the podcast where we watch, review, and rate terrible movies so that you don't have to. Brought to you by Geek Devotions, a network of shows by devoted geeks devoting to letting you know that you are loved. Thank you so much for hitting the play button today. If you don't listen beyond this moment, we want you to know this. You are loved, God loves you, and there is a purpose for your life. That being said, my name is Branson, and I am here with my crew, my compadres, my buddies, in no particular order. We are going to start with the space tomato eating, but that's okay. I love him anyway. John, how are you?
Bro, you are so lucky that Dallas stopped that. I would have ruined your week.
Well, you can't ruin my week if you're frozen. See, I've been studying under the great Sub-Zero.
Blah, blah,
I know how to be cold.
So cold you ate your own pet. Anyway, move on with the introductions.
Oh. Okay, that one hurt. Moving on, the captain of the crew, the great, the legendary Dallas Mora.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, look, really, if you guys are going to fight, you guys are not playing Mortal Kombat that way. I have Mortal Kombat 11 over there. And if you're feeling real feisty, I can bust out the Sega Genesis and we can play Mortal Kombat 2. Other than that, no spilling DNA on the ship. Period.
Okay.
Looking at you, John.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Next, we have our resident angry Irishman who is looking oh so stunning with his wavy hair.
Hot!
The best looking man on the crew, Kevin Burnham.
What's up, losers?
Dang. My man becomes a legit, recognized film critic, and all of a sudden he's above us all. I see how it is.
I know, and he's like sponsored by like male clothing companies now, and suddenly he's just like, chicks dig me, bro. You're beneath me.
Oh, my next step
We just
is
put up
to
with
get
him because
spon-
he's pretty to look at.
My
He
next
is, he's-
stop is to get
He's the eye candy of the show.
What were you about to say, Kevin?
Nah, it doesn't matter. Not even worth it.
Legitimately, though, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin has recently been inducted into the Independent Film Critics of America. So to that, we say congratulations, Kevin. We're proud of you.
Yes, congratulations.
You are official, and you make our podcast seem official now. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're not
We are
allowed to leave because you give us value.
You are official, and we are officially writing your coattails. So that's a thing.
Yeah, that's always nice to have someone right behind you.
And who's sponsoring your clothing line now that you have?
Collapse Culture. I don't know how to say the product of his name.
You might want to figure that out.
Way to be a spokesman, Kevin.
Because I tried saying like 4 different times, and he's like, they're like, it's Collapse Culture. Culture is like
Couture.
Gucci? What? I really don't understand what you're saying.
Couture.
He didn't know.
Is
He
that how you
didn't
say
say
it?
couture. It's like I told him, I was like, you may want to rename that because I can't even pronounce that.
Now that I'm your spokesperson, change your product line.
Also with us today, I'm excited. I'm stepping all over Branson's job because I'm excited to announce
No,
this.
go for it.
We have Mike from the Boomstick Video Club, which is the podcast that actually inspired me to pitch this podcast to Dallas. So happy to have you on board for this. We were supposed to also have Dave Clements on board from Boomstick as well, but homeboy destroyed his back playing with his dog. So
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm very excited.
Wait, so you're saying his podcast? We are the original reason why we watch all these freaking terrible movies.
Well, no, you found the movies in the dumpster bin.
yeah,
Screw you guys. Seriously. And if I saw Dave Clements, I would tell him to his face too.
No joke. Their first episode got me hooked. It was Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably one of our favorites of all time. My personal favorite.
Okay, I can agree with that for Ernest.
I just like bad movies, so I think
Here you go. Hey, you're in the right spot,
yeah,
brother.
Yeah.
You
We got a
that
dumpster full of them.
That is what we do. So let's go ahead and roll on today's episode.
I need to find my dice.
Not wrong show, brother.
Oh, sorry.
Dallas, do you have some communication? We have had some communication with the listenership about today's episode of Mortal Kombat.
I believe that's what Kevin pulled out for us. Is it now, Kevin?
Yeah,
Is it which is it?
Thanks for telling the audience exactly what I'm holding in my hand. But go
I'm
ahead,
sorry. Today's
Here, you
outline
read the
is.
VHS. Go ahead.
Do you need a shoulder, Kevin? Do you need a hug?
Nope.
Need a shoulder to cry on?
Nope.
I volunteer. I'll hug Kevin.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You give him a cold shoulder.
Oh, right.
Okay, so let's talk about today's movie that we're going to be reviewing and watching and having wonderful, lovely conversations on. And that is Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. So we had one person write in some communication. They said, it's a favorite over here, up there with Mars Attacks, which some people like more than others. Just hitting me with where it hurts, Dallas. To which that person, I replied to them. I said, hey, you haven't even heard my thoughts on the movie yet. The CG reptile, so bad, it's deserving a fatality.
It's right up there or right down there with Mars Attacks.
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
We know where you stood with Mars Attacks.
Oh, we're gonna do this again. Okay.
Oh my god.
At least I know what I put my movies at, unlike certain people in here.
Hey, Kevin, if I toss a potato, will you go fetch it?
No. Because I have dignity and pride.
What if I wrapped it in cabbage?
No.
This is getting weird. All combat and not enough mortal. It's like watching someone else play the video game. All right.
Fair enough.
That is.
Isn't that what people do on Twitch? Just watch everyone else play the video game?
Well, when we talk too.
Yeah. This is what we're doing here is basically the Twitch of terrible movies.
We just silence everybody else.
It's just not in real time.
Right. So we got love this one, Dallas. The soundtrack was awesome. It was it has its flaws. We were going to do it for Ugmore, the video game. This is from our friends over at Rushmore show, where they give you their top 4 of whatever, and they were doing an Ugmore of video game movies. So your warning,
Hey Ugmore, if you're listening, what's your top 4 favorite ice cream flavors?
I think they did that actually. Warning, just be happy it's not the sequel. Well, fortunately, I don't think Kevin's going to pull that out of the dumpster. Surely that's not in the dumpster.
I
Warning:
make no promises.
this movie doesn't test your might; it tests your patience. It teases you for a minute just to let you down for the rest of the time. One person wrote in, "Never played it." Wait, it was a movie?
Stay
one.
innocent, you poor child.
Warning: no warning label needed here. It's a fun time. Features a woman who is really tough until suddenly she's not, for plot convenience. Fair
Oh,
enough.
sounds like my ex-wife.
Hey.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's talk about some factoids and stuff like that. Does anybody have any facts about this movie, or we just want to talk about our expectations?
Let's just jump into expectations.
Okay. You got some high expectations over there, Kevin?
Going to be honest, I don't really have any nostalgia for this movie because I never watched it when it came out.
Really?
I never played Mortal Kombat games.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't. It was big part was that we didn't have television during this time.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
that makes sense.
When we did get the television, we were not allowed to look upon us. And I remember there was several pastors preaching against the playing of Mortal Kombat and the movie and all this franchise and everything else. I'm like, wow, you made a sermon of this. Okay. Even though
Mortal
I didn't care.
Kombat was the Harry Potter of our time.
Wow. That's
Yes.
interesting.
It was.
I've seen
it
video
brought into the
clips of
news.
pastors. I've seen video clips of pastors railing against He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
No kidding.
They will
Oh.
find anything to preach against. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Especially if you're Southern Baptist. If you're Southern Baptist, they'll find
Yeah.
everything. They're like, well, you shouldn't be taking your family to KFC when you should be taking them to real homemade, homegrown chickens with deep fried.
What?
Who the frick cares?
This is why Branson's no longer Southern Baptist.
Do not feed your
One of the
family
reasons.
deviled eggs.
Yeah.
Because they're gross.
We call them angel eggs.
What?
Yeah. I've heard that too.
Do you know
Yeah,
why they call
because-
it devil food cake? Because it's of the
Yeah.
devil.
Yeah, exactly. So,
That's why
Yeah, I
sweet
don't have
foods
any-
are called sinful.
yeah, I have no nostalgia for this. When I did actually pick up this copy at the Walmart like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
going through the bin, and I saw it there, and some guy was like, "Bro, that movie's awesome, man. That movie's so awesome, man." I was like, "Okay, it's awesome." It's like, "No, it's like top dog, man. You don't get better than this, man." I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Wow.
This guy's like on high.
I
on
think
weed
he
or
was
something.
slagging you.
No, he was not slagging.
I think
me.
he was slagging you.
This guy had like the gold grills. He had like the wheel cup spinners on his shoes. I'm
Did,
like,
did he ask?
Shoes.
and he was like wearing these big, humongous gold chains. I'm like, yeah, he's somebody's pimple, right?
Did he ask you to watch him whip, or possibly watch him nay?
That's 2000, not 2020 or 2019. Who does that? Jesus, how old are you, John? Do you even hang around people?
Hey Kevin,
John?
there's a giant dumpster fire out back. Feel free to go fall into it.
John, what's your expectations of this movie since you're being weird?
Okay, so I watched this movie when it first came out on VHS, so that should sort of give a clue as to what the answer is to Kevin's question. So I remember liking it when I was young.
Mhm.
Granted, I expect it probably hasn't aged well, so I don't have a whole lot of high expectations for it, but I feel like I still would probably enjoy it, maybe.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
God, I need a win.
Oh my gosh. Branson, how about you, brother?
I don't think I saw this when it first came out. I think, like John was talking about, I rented it from the video store on VHS one weekend. They were doing the deal. You know, they had a local video store had a deal where you could get 5 movies for $5 for 5 days, and this was
Nice.
one of those in the section. Yeah,
That was not
Um,
Blockbuster.
no, it was not. It was
Mm.
Planet Entertainment. I think it was a locally owned place.
Because
Yep.
Blockbuster, it's 5
But,
movies for 5 of your children for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why they're
That's to get
business.
one night of rent, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say I was around middle school, early high school when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember, I didn't grow up playing Mortal Kombat because we were more of a Nintendo family. And
Bro,
that's
that's
not that
no
we had a
excuse.
problem
I
with Sega
played
Genesis.
I played Mortal Kombat on my SNES, so I don't even want to hear like, oh, we were a
It was on
Nintendo family.
SNES, wasn't it?
And
Yeah.
there was a way to turn the blood on. I did it.
Dullard.
I think I think it was actually better on Super Nintendo, to be honest with you.
You're not wrong, sir.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, the movie just made me want to play the video game.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by the premise, but I don't remember even as a young age. At a young age, I was one of those kids. If you put effort into it, it's awesome. I like every movie, and even then, I was like, "This is not a good movie." So I don't have high expectations.
That's fair. Fair. Mike, how about you, brother?
I saw this opening day, my friends.
Wow.
I was in the theater
Wow.
with my dad and all my neighborhood buddies. I lived in the arcade when I was a little kid. Like I was in the arcade every single weekend. And when Mortal Kombat came out, it was a huge deal. It was um just I so many people lined up to play it, and every time a new Mortal Kombat game came out, it I saw it first because I was there every weekend. So when I first heard about this movie, the hype was very, very real, and we made a whole big thing of it and saw it the night it came out. So I was back then, I was very, it was highly anticipated. Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Totally. So
Quick
what about
question.
today?
How many Mortal Kombat games are there?
Well, I was playing 11 today. So
There's 11. Okay,
I'm
not
sure
nearly
there's
as much as
well, that's also not counting the spin-offs like Mortal Kombat Origin, Sub-Zero,
Sub-Zero. Yeah.
or Mortal Kombat Special Forces.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's nearly as many copies of those as there are for Madden games.
Probably.
only more entertaining. There are 24 different games for the Mortal Kombat series.
20.
Good lord.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Okay, sorry.
What
I
about
was
you,
curious.
Dallas? What are your expectations for this movie?
My expectations are so I didn't grow up in the arcade because I lived in the woods, but I did have a Sega because Sega does what Nintendo don't,
That's a
including
lie.
going out of business.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
So I
Genesis does.
Yep.
I played the mess out of Mortal Kombat 2. I went online and downloaded cheat codes. Down, up, left, ARD was the first thing you did when you fired it up on the Sega Genesis, so you can turn on the blood and everything else.
Mhm.
And then I watched the movie. I didn't go see it opening day, but I did watch it as soon as it came out on VHS. And I remember, to my dear birthday twin Tasha, who wrote in, hoping that I don't destroy her dreams about this movie. I enjoyed it as a kid. I thought it was fun. Of course, I was into like Power Rangers and all kinds of bad martial arts movies. So this is right up there for
Mexican
me.
wrestling,
Huh?
Lucha Lords, Mexican wrestling,
Did you say Lucha Lords?
Real quick before we dive
Lucha
into this movie,
Libre.
Lucha Libres.
real quick
Luchadore.
before we dive into this movie, because I apparently some of us have played these games. What's everybody's main, and do you remember a fatality sequence for your main? Like
That's a good question.
my guy was Scorpion, and I remember on the SNES for the fatality, it was just R up, and I would rip off my mask and burn
Mhm.
people alive with my fire breath.
Mm.
Anybody
Nice.
got anything like that? Like, who's your main? Did you know the fate? Do you still remember a fatality?
I was Raiden. I always went with Raiden. I don't know why. And his fatality that I don't remember what it is now, but he electrocuted, like he just raised his arms up, electrocuted the guy's head. His head would explode.
I remember that.
So my
The
main
few times that
was
go ahead.
no, go for it, Branson. Go for it.
I didn't play it a whole lot. The few times I did play it, I usually played Sub-Zero. I could never figure out how to do the fatality because I was terrible with button combinations, but I did like that he could shoot ice and freeze your enemy. And so for a split second, there was nothing they could do. And that meant a lot to me because I wasn't that good at video games. So if I had an enemy that could not move, that was meaningful. So I
Right.
usually went Sub-Zero.
You were one of those guys that spammed the freeze move, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
That's
That
fair.
was totally me.
That's fair. So mine
Dallas.
was Sub-Zero. I went back and forth between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. But I did Sub-Zero probably a lot more than Scorpion. Although I got really good at teleporting and doing the get over here with Sub-Zero or with Scorpion. I don't remember any of the how to do his fatalities, but I did do where I shattered them quite a bit. On Mortal Kombat 11, my main right now is Spawn. That's who I've been using.
They got everybody on the new games. Like,
Man, they
so
got
many.
RoboCop. They got all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
I want to get Mortal Kombat XL so I can play as Freddy Krueger. That's
I forgot he was
on
on
that.
it.
Kevin, did you play at all? No, you said you didn't play, so
Nope.
poor Kevin.
The closest he gets to Mortal Kombat is when he gets into fights with you on the podcast.
Fair enough.
Probably.
All right, are we ready to watch? Are we ready to actually watch this thing?
I guess.
So I'm still not reading the back of the VHS or anything like that.
Yeah, read it. Go for it. Read the story. Tell us what we're watching. What are we walking into?
Okay. Well, it seems like you guys already know what you're walking into. So let's see. On the back of this VHS, it says, "Strap yourself in the pulse-pounding, action-star-powered adventure and cutting-edge special effects with awesome morphing sequences beyond your wildest dreams."
That is so nice.
Summoned to a mysterious island, 3 martial arts warriors engage in the ultimate battle of good against evil, the supernatural tournament of Mortal Kombat. Starring Christopher Lambert, Talisha Sota, I never knew how to say that person's name, Bridget Wilson, and featuring world-class martial arts Robin Show. It's the most awesome, action-packed, reality-shattering adventure the universe has ever witnessed. Prepare for Mortal Kombat.
Careful there, Mortal Kombat. There is such a thing as overpromising.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That sounds pretty accurate from what I remember.
Totally.
Right.
It says in the also in the bottom of this, it features Techno Syndrome, which is performed by I can't read this, the Immortals.
Yeah, that's the theme.
It's so tiny, and I'm like, I can't read, and it gets smaller and smaller print.
This was the soundtrack to this movie actually was the very first EDM album to ever go platinum.
Really?
What is
Mhm.
what is EDM,
Oh, wow.
Mr. Music Man?
Electronic dance music.
Techno.
Trippin' wasn't a part of that. Trippin' didn't have electronic dance music.
What you talking about, Willis?
The movie Trippin'. You never watched Trippin'?
No.
Breaking.
I feel like you're
Oh.
tripping.
You're tripping, boo.
I'm probably the only one who watched Soul Cinema. Sorry.
All right, let's watch this movie.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
Does anybody know how to make the new TVs go to channel 4? Not 4-1, but 4. Because I really need to plug in my Sega Genesis right now.
What you need, sir, is what's called an RF modulator, so you can plug your Sega into a HDMI port as well.
Okay. I have to find that.
And what I feel like is we just watched Fight Scene, the movie.
Yes.
I think if you took all the
Yes.
dialogue in the script, it would be comprised of about 20 pages.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
It's like they filmed a bunch of fight scenes and then went, "Oh crap, we're supposed to have a story."
So
So to whomever left the comment that this movie was like watching somebody play Mortal Kombat, you are correct.
That's
100%.
So, quick question. I know most of us have played like Mortal Kombat 2. Have any of us played any of the more recent ones where there's some story in it?
The most recent one I played was Mortal Kombat Deception.
Okay.
Which was on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that one, but the reason why I enjoyed it is because there was a lot of RPG elements that were in that one,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of good storytelling in it.
I've heard a lot about that one from folks. I've been playing 11 recently, and I played a little bit of another one years ago, but like this is really, and before we get into like really discussion about the movie, just on your comment here, that's how the games go for the most part right now. It's like here's a half a scene of conversation, let's fight.
Yeah.
And then here's 2 seconds of conversation, let's fight.
That's how the movie was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
It really
Kevin?
was.
Walk us through the movie, man. so we can discuss this in a logical sense.
We
Probably
can't.
more
We're in
logical
the
than the movie.
We're in the spoiler-free section. Stop
Dag
trying
nabbit.
to. It's been a hot minute since we've recorded. Everybody, we apologize
like-
for these snafus.
Why
Yeah.
walk when we could fight our way through?
All right. Well, what's something spoiler free that you liked, Mike?
Oh, spoiler free. I think that it's it's really tough to make a video game a movie in general, but I don't know. They had the right idea. I think the whole storyline with Johnny Cage could have made sense, but I don't know. Like and
Were you about to say Johnny Cash?
I was.
He's in Mortal Kombat 12.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
That would be amazing.
I mean, they have everybody else.
And his fight scene is set in Folsom Prison.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I
I
wouldn't.
killed a man in Reno just to watch him die.
I would.
His
Yeah.
fatality-
Could be in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, let's do it.
His fatality is somebody calls him Sue and he beats them with his guitar.
There you go. I wouldn't be
If you play Johnny
surprised.
Cash versus Johnny Cash, the out music is "I hurt myself today," and the silence
But-
after that was funnier than the actual joke. Moving on. Okay.
But yeah, I think that I liked the actor who played him. I thought he did a good job. I don't know. Johnny Cage is probably one of my favorite Mortal Kombat characters. So I wanted him. He was kind of who I was most looking forward to seeing in the movie. There you go.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. I thought they did him pretty accurate for the most part.
It's cool. I dig it.
The actor himself he had terrible lines, but know,
He did.
I think I like bad movies, so bad dialogue. I dig that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Totally get that.
What bad dialogue? I don't even know what you're talking about.
The 3 times he opened his mouth and said something, that was dialogue.
I know I was
Kevin was giving bad dialogue and saying what he did. It was a two-sided joke. I'm picking up what you're putting down there, Kevin. It's cool.
Thank you.
This is where you fall down.
Kevin,
And
What-
Kevin
what-
falls down.
what's some spoiler-free thoughts you got, bud?
Well, it's a movie. There's fighting and fighting and fighting. I don't know what to say. There's fighting.
Kevin, you're spoiling the movie. Stop.
I know.
I'm
There's
gonna
only so
say
much
that-
I can talk about the film.
I'm going to
There's
say this
just
about the fighting. I felt like the fighting was everywhere. Literally in the movie, but like there are moments where I'm like, okay, this is like pretty decent martial arts, 90s martial arts fighting. Then there are times where I'm like, you guys are telegraphing so hard right now. It's like watching like 5-year-olds sword fighting out in the yard. They're like, no, hit my stick here. Like it was terrible at times. And then there were times where I'm like, all right, this is pretty well orchestrated. I respect this. And so I
Yeah.
wish that they had kind of worked better for a movie that's about fighting. I feel like they could have done better with that whole situation.
As far as my thoughts on this, the spoiler-free thoughts on this, I mean, we all know that there's fighting in this movie. I mean, there's no way to get around that. This movie's about a fighting game.
They were kung fu fighting
Those cats are fast as lightning.
until they're telegraphing.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I kind of dug the scenery a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there was some good scenery. I mean,
Almost as good as the CGI in this movie.
no,
No, don't.
no.
No.
Dude,
Oh, I'm the only one in that part? Okay, fine. Be that way.
there were some beautiful shots of the island and a couple other
Yeah.
scenes like that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's hard for me to talk about this. I'm gonna end up dumping on this movie.
Then put on easy mode. Stop putting on hard mode.
That's fair.
I'm gonna end up dumping on this movie, but there's no way I can really talk about why until we get into the spoiler section.
Right?
Um,
You gonna dump on this movie like you dumped on the Space Tomato?
no, I'm gonna dump on this movie.
So you're projecting. You're already telling us this movie is. Okay, fine, cool. Now everyone knows what you feel.
Honestly, yeah. Well, I mean, there's no way to hide my opinion on this movie because I can't talk about like seriously. The only thing I can say that I liked about this, watching it again, was the scenery, and I wanted to know more about the other guy that was in the first fight of the movie with the cornrows.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I know
wanted
who
to
you're
know
talking
more about him. Who's this
Yeah.
guy?
about. Yeah.
Was he
I-
not a character, like an actual game character?
No.
Oh, I
But
legitimately thought he was an actual character.
they gave his character as much personality as pretty much all the main characters in
They
this
really
movie.
did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
if anybody's
which,
not.
which is saying something because he didn't have any spoken lines in this movie.
That's a really good point.
That really is.
Yeah.
Branson, how
Uh,
about you, man? You got anything?
I'm going to agree with John. I love the scenery. I thought, especially the shots, like you said, of the island. You can tell they put a lot of time and effort into that. The fighting was kind of hit or miss. Some fight scenes were really, really cool to watch. Some fight scenes where you can tell you learned how to do this 5 minutes ago. you know, and it wasn't always the people that you would expect to be the good fighters that did the good fighting. Some of the
Mhm.
best fighters in this movie were the henchmen.
Right.
Yeah.
I, without getting too spoilery, of all of the characters, I liked Johnny Cage's arc the best, mostly
Yeah,
because he actually had an arc.
Yeah.
I have thoughts.
That's all the high notes I've got for it. Everything else, for me to explain what I didn't like about it, I'd have to, well, like everyone else, I'd have to spoil it. Maybe
That's
we
fair.
just get to the spoiler section.
Right.
Dallas,
I want-
round it out for us.
I want to say this. I like Kari Hiroki Tagawa. He played Shang Su.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung, sorry.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. I like him as an actor, and so when I see him on screen, because I've seen a lot of things over the years that I enjoy. So I was excited to see him, even though he was over the top acting a lot of times, like your soul is mine.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. He did a great job of
Some of the
making
times,
fun.
you mean the whole freaking movie is overacting. What are you talking about?
I like him a lot too. He's in
Yeah.
He's in Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah, he is. He was in Man in the High Tower, and he's just a great actor. He's done a lot of cool stuff. In fact, I would say that he's probably, out of everyone that in this movie that I can remember, he's the only actor that I feel like has a decent career outside of the Highlander. But I mean, that should have only been one. So
Pretty
He
much.
was Kabai Singh in the Phantom.
was he?
I
Interesting.
think so.
So I will also say this: this movie just feels like it was smack dab in the '90s. Like it just, when you think about '90s films, this is it. Like, I'm thinking about movies like The Phantom, The Shadow, even Surf Ninjas. I don't know if anybody who's listening guys remember Surf Ninjas.
Oh my god, that's you're speaking my language.
Come on, bro.
There's an
Three
episode.
Ninjas.
Isn't there an episode of Boomstick about the Surf Ninjas?
Not yet. No.
Call me when it does.
We've been talking about doing it for a while, but haven't gotten around to it yet.
That was my
Don't
sister and
call
I's
me.
favorite movie. I
Mhm.
straight up bought that for her as a Christmas gift one year. So just call me up when you're ready to do that because I love
All
that
right.
movie.
All right.
I just remembered something else that was good about this movie that is spoiler free.
Okay.
The soundtrack.
Yeah,
The soundtrack to this
Yes.
movie was spot on.
it was.
Everybody knows the theme song.
Mhm.
And
It's sampled today.
and to be perfectly honest, it's classified. The soundtrack to this is classified as an EDM album, but it was at that point in the '90s where a lot of electronic dance music kind of rode the border between dance music and then industrial music.
Okay.
So, I didn't listen to this because I was like, yay, dance. I listened to this because, like, hey, this is like a poppier version of Gravity Kills or, Nine Inch Nails or whatever. So
Mhm.
that was how I approached it. So, I mean, and I think that's part of the reason why it went platinum was because it had at that time period, because there was so much crossover between the two genres that I think it had a broader audience than EDM would have today.
Totally. I think it's a great valid points. All right. I think we're gonna have to spoil some stuff. So,
Yes,
John,
let's. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
Okay, I need to talk about how the relationship with Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage was so crowbarred in at the end of this movie. I'm sorry, I held that as long as I could. I need to talk about that. Why?
When we sent our notes to
suffers from
Kevin-
that.
I don't remember.
when we sent our notes to Kevin, that's one of the things I put in there was that was just not a thing. Like, what happened here?
Yeah.
I didn't remember them.
I
having a
guess it was
relationship.
because it's a '90s movie. You gotta have a romance in there somewhere. So let's just pick two random people and stick them together. Sure, why not?
You don't remember them all of a sudden being a romantic item at the very end of the movie, Kevin?
Didn't care.
That's the and that's the thing, Kevin.
That's
None of us
exactly-
cared about
yes.
It definitely did. I feel like they were like, oh, we gotta do this because the game kind of puts them together, or I don't know.
But that's the
But-
thing. Like at that point, this was like Mortal Kombat 2 was the only one. There wasn't much game that story out there. I think there was a
There-
comic book or two, but that was it.
Yeah, that's true.
They put them together in a game.
They did a fusion dance and then became another character.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
I-
was
I
like,
think-
what?
And that, dear loved ones, is how babies are made.
They do have a
I
daughter.
was like, wow.
I think in part
Oh,
2,
boy.
like the Mortal Kombat 2, they kind of alluded to it, but I don't think they did it before that.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that I found to be really irritating. There was a lot of incongruencies with the plot holes in this movie. And can I say there were certain set pieces in the palace scene, specifically the statues, that you could definitely tell were borrowed from other movies. Like there was one stone statue in particular. It was some guy wearing a helmet and he had a club over his head, almost to the point where it was touching the middle of his back. They kept showing him, and I'm like, I have seen that somewhere. And I'm like 99% convinced it was one of the stone statues from what's it now, I can't remember the name of it.
I would rather see the statue than CGI.
It's a Ray Harryhausen movie, something of the Titans, Clash of the
Clash of the
Titans.
Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
I swear it was from the Medusa scene in Clash of the Titans. I'm like, I like all of this feels like just recycled set props.
Well,
Def-
probably
def-
is
yeah.
because of the director, Paul Anderson, or Paul W.S. Anderson, loves all those older films. So
Now,
he
and that
works
ca-
like the sneaking things like that.
that cat's name sounds familiar too. Like I should recognize who he is, but for some reason I can't place him.
Who?
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Resident Evil. He does all the Resident Evil movies.
That's right.
His style is very
Yeah,
it's very noticeable.
everywhere. Yeah, he's the one that's married to Mila Djokovic. No
On
one doesn't know this.
uh,
I'm the only one
on
who
the-
knows this.
I did not
I-
know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was married to her.
Yeah, that's why he puts her in every one of his movies.
Go him.
Yeah,
I like
This
her
is
as
probably
an
the only
actress.
one who-
subject
go ahead.
on the subject of Sonya Blade and love interest, is there a reason why Shang Tsung was so intent on Sonya Blade being in the tournament?
Because he could beat her.
Was that it?
I think
Because
so.
she's a beautiful, attractive woman that's inside this movie, and there has to be a
Well,
reason. to
okay,
give her something
in
because she
story
can't-
reason, but in story reason.
That
'Cause I
was
completely missed that.
that was what I got from it, was that she was kind of his ace in the hole. Like if he was going to challenge somebody, he was going to pick somebody he knew he could beat. You know what I
The
mean?
whole thing was weird though. Like why did he change her costume and suddenly give her hair from the 80s?
That is
because they needed to make her match the background in the game.
that
Is that
one
what
of the
it
most-
is?
That's the funniest aspect of that whole ending fight is just Sonya's randomly in that outfit.
Like
like,
legit, like legit. There's a scene there is an actual playable stage where they have Sonya tied up in the background with her hair like that, and she's like in slave clothes, and that's all they did it for, was just say, hey everybody, remember this?
I
Because if
want to point
George
that.
Lucas can do it, Carrie Fisher, this guy can do it to her.
So I'll say this about there were a couple of scenes where I was like, I was kind of like, good on you guys, because like they tried to emulate some of the game itself from Mortal Kombat 2. Like the dudes like when they're out there on the beach and they had the stage set up with Song, I can't say his name.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung.
Sitting there, and then the monks in the front, that was a somewhat of a fabrication of one of the stages in Mortal Kombat 2. And so I appreciated that there was some of that took place in the movie.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that scene with Sonya Blade all gussied up at the end,
Mhm.
that felt crowbarred. There's a lot of stuff in this game that just felt crowbarred. So
Movie, not
Paul
game.
W.S.
Movie.
Anderson, what?
You said game, the movie.
Oh, if you say so.
It's the cutscenes, but it's the movie.
It
Yeah.
just felt like a whole lot of, hey guys, remember this?
Mhm.
Instead of trying to put
Yeah.
together a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I hate that I'm going to say this. I hate that because I am going to be pointing a finger at myself with this statement. But for everybody out there who has ever said practical effects are better than digital effects, I want to point you to Goro.
Yes.
Good point.
Goro was terrible in this movie. I mean, it's just like, it was completely unbelievable when you saw him in the fight scenes. He was lumbering around like a big dumb idiot.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, cool. They put an extra set of arms on Slaw from the Goonies and just said, there you go. Get the baby Ruth and go.
Guys.
From a distance, I think it looks cool. Like when
Yeah.
the dragon door opens and he's standing there and he's like flexing and growling. It looks cool from a distance, but when you get up close, it's like, oh god, okay.
I'm going to agree with you on that. There are moments where it looks good, and it's from when it's in distance or when it's dark. And I think Kevin can attest to this because he's watched a lot of more older movies than I have. There's a reason why things were kept in the dark in older movies, because they couldn't make it look great. But what you can do is hide things in shadows, and then they will become better. And I feel like if they had kept Goro in the background more of as a ominous creature that you're going to have to fight later,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been so bad. But like when you got up and close, I'm like, I could see the
Yeah.
puppeteer on the inside there.
That whole dinner scene with Kano, like that, like he looks really bad.
Oh, and speaking of Kano, again, with the practical effects, can we talk about the prosthesis that was put onto him? Because that sure looked fake. You could literally see how that prosthesis was a giant lump over where the rest of the face should have been.
Yeah.
And half the time, I'm fairly certain they didn't show the side because it wasn't actually attached. There was a couple times where I swear that thing was just kind of flopping around. And I'm just like, no.
It looks like you went to a Comic-Con and bought a costume piece and just stuck it on.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
I've seen realer prosthesis in displays at Mervin's, is all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh my. Kevin, what are your
Is
thoughts,
it-
buddy?
Hmm?
What do you think about the costumes?
I've seen better costumes when I go to these Comic Cons. That's for sure.
I think out of all of us, you've been to more Comic Cons than any of us. Have you seen anybody do decent Mortal Kombat stuff at all in these
I mean,
cons?
From what I'm seeing between what I've seen this movie and cons, I've seen people do exceptionally well at Comic Cons. There was one that did like a couple of the women that were inside here, and they just looked so like precise. And when I'm looking at the video game, when I see the video game footage from YouTube, I'm like, oh my gosh, you look almost exactly like these freaking characters. And I'm looking at the movies like none of these people in the movie actually look like that. Like they just got everything from their local discount store and just put it on, and you can see the sewing stitches they do to the costumes. I'm like, okay. I mean, I want to keep saying it's 90s, but then again, when I look at things that's done in 90s, like I can't say it was the 90s.
I feel like Spirit Halloween's in the background when we're going, you could have called.
yeah,
Could have called us.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin,
Okay.
I'm just going to say I owe you an apology, sir.
Okay.
I think that this movie is completely on par with Fatal Deviation.
Okay.
No.
So
You and I about to Mortal Kombat. You need to explain that.
Yeah.
I
Explain what you're trying to relate that to. What?
I think it's just as good as Fatal Deviation. And
Why are you going ahead and telling everyone what your final thoughts are on this film?
dude, everybody knows what my final thoughts are on this movie already. If they haven't figured it already, I'm just
How
saying.
about we just mute you and we'll just keep talking, okay, until the end. I mean,
did anyone else looking at rating?
I'm just saying.
Did
I'm
anyone
just
else
saying
feel
that
like
this
that was Highlander 2?
Yes. That was one of the things that bugged me about Raiden.
But I'm going to say I did not care for Christopher Lambert, whatever he was doing with his voice.
It was terrible.
I mean, any of us could do. I believe any of us could do better at a more throaty type of voice, whatever he was trying to do.
I'm here to tell you about Mortal Kombat.
Like every time he talked, it sounded like somebody just punched him in the throat before he went on the stage.
No, Mike is completely right. It sounded like a really raspy Ren from Ren and Stimpy.
I was like, what is he doing? Is that really his voice?
Understand.
Was there a look for Raiden from the games where he was like wearing all white with long hair? Because now, granted, I didn't play the game a lot, but isn't he supposed to have like the Chinese hat and like a blue vest? And
well, yeah, he's supposed to be Asian. He's supposed to be Asian for one thing.
Yeah,
he
not French.
That character was whitewashed in this movie.
Oh, terribly.
Yeah. I just busted up laughing when it was on that boat, and he's like, "The fate of billions would depend on you." I'm like,
and then
why are you laughing?
That weird
That was
laugh.
the most inappropriate laughing moment. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry. I'm like, was that like an actual thing that was supposed to be cut in the film? And Paul was like, wonderful, keep it in the movie. We'll keep it that way.
You must face your greatest fear. Your fear is this. Your fear is this.
Like this guy. This guy's stuck.
I kept waiting for him to say, in the end, there can only be one.
Yeah.
That would have made so much sense.
It would have been so much better at that point. It would have been a better Highlander 2, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
The two who I liked in this movie was the actor for Johnny Cage. I liked him. And I liked the Sang-Chu. What was his name? The one who overacted everything.
Shang
Tsung.
Now you got me doing it, Dallas.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung.
That man. When he overreacts and he does the theatrical opening when he's like, "Your soul will be mine." I'm like, that's purely theatrical. That's not on movies. But
yeah, absolutely.
I liked him. I liked him in this movie, and I liked Johnny Cage.
You're next.
I want him to announce the opening of Iron Chef.
A la cuisine.
I did not like the person who played what's her name? Sonya Blade.
Yeah.
Bridget Wilson. I only know her as the girl who played in Billy Madison. That's all I remember her from.
So I don't even remember her there.
That totally is her.
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, wow, you're right.
Yeah, she cannot, to me, give me a convincing line or deliver a complete uppercut. I mean, everything she does, like, she couldn't finish any of her fight scenes. Her lines, she's like, she looks like someone who I've seen as a secretary at a hospital or something. She looked like she could never fight a day in her life.
She had reminded me of,
I'll push these pencils for you, but I can't do nothing. I'm just like, I can't believe that she actually fought a day in her life.
She was in Last Action Hero, so she has some action training.
Yeah. She didn't have good dialogue.
In the air.
To be perfectly honest, she reminded me of like a dollar store Tori Spelling to me. Take that for what it's worth.
Don't know what that means, but okay, I'll take it for what it's worth. At $1.
You don't know who Tori Spelling was?
No, I don't know who Tori Spelling is.
I love you.
Is she one of your other Dungeon Master friends from D&D gaming playing pieces?
Really? You gonna go there, Kevin? You want to go there? Bro, I will shoot you out the airlock like you were a taco machine.
Ooh, oh my God.
That's a real threat, actually.
Staff.
Oh my gosh.
The other thing I would say is I did love the beginning of this movie. I think it was one of the best openings for a film.
The fight
The-
between him and
with the music, the opening of the music, the pumped up music, and
Oh,
the
gotcha.
intro and everything else. I just
Yeah.
thought that was fantastic.
the opening.
Absolutely.
I know John's mentioned that, and I was trying to weave it in somehow, but everyone kept talking. It's like I'll just save it to like the very end or in the middle of the podcast. And it's like, hey, I'll bring this part back up.
Why was Liu Kang's
Okay.
room green? Like, what was outside? Where was he? Was he outside of
Don't
China?
know.
That was
Huh?
weird.
There was only one thing red inside that room, and I'm like, okay, what's the point? I mean, I don't understand it because even if it was somewhere in Chinatown with neon lights, it just I don't know. The director is just like overly green with envy with something.
Well, like it was.
maybe he's
off-
like, oh my god, I get to see him naked. I'm so green with envy. Let me put the green screen on
It
there.
was
Oops.
so weird though, because like you go from like something that's super like color graded blue
Mhm.
to all of a sudden just like this weird, awkward, vibrant green, and my eyes
Yeah.
actually hurt a little bit watching the two scenes transition.
Now, Kevin, you said that Paul W.S. Anderson likes to reference more classic movies with how he goes about things. Correct? Is
adding
that what
adding things in his films, so he
I-
always adds some.
Then I would almost wonder if that was him paying homage to Dario Argento.
You know what? I could see that. That could be a very much of a thing, but at least do more scenes like that, and not just like, oh, here's just one scene. I'm going to do that because
that's classic Argento right there. So
Yeah.
very much so.
The color sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I get
Another
that.
thing I would say for this film, for me, the ADR, it was horrible. There's times I could see them, and they're not even actually, the words are not properly coming out of their mouth. For me, I was just paying attention. And
Kevin, can you
see-
define ADR for the listening audience?
Oh, I'm sorry. Automatic dialogue replacements. So whenever you're on set and there's a lot of noise on there, and there's no way possible when someone, even with a boom mic, is trying to record the person when they have their videos, the movie shot, they'll be in a room, they'll look at themselves when they're playing and say, okay, say this line or something like that, and they'll get themselves pumped up or quiet down, but they're just trying to mouth out the words of whatever they said on screen.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do that, and I'm right there looking, and it's like, even with the crowds, because you hear the crowd noises, it just put random crowd noise inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can see how some of the people are just like, fight. You can see the words actually come out of their mouth, but it's not saying it like, and there's like all kinds of noise, like, okay, yeah, that's a thing. So, okay. Was there a lot of fight scenes like that? Because I guess because if I was playing a fighting game, I was more of Soul Calibur or a Street Fighter. And
That's
so
fair.
I'm guessing Mortal Kombat was like that, but just Mortal Kombat just had the blood and gore, which this movie had none of the blood and gore. But that's the only thing I
Thank
remember
you.
can relate to Mortal Kombat is that
I
you
thought-
had to have
Somebody did
blood
not
and
turn
gore,
on the
you
blood
had to rip
code.
off the spines, you had to crush the skull or freezing. There was only one. The only closest thing he did was a Sub-Zero thing where when he froze the guy and broke into pieces and the head was right there. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's the only thing we're gonna get for this film.
It totally makes sense why they did the PG-13 rating, just because kids were obsessed with this game, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to make it rated R.
Money. That's why. Money.
I do remember back in the day when this came out, and it came out as a PG-13 rating. That was a big deal to the core audience. It's just like, this is PG-13. They're obviously not going to do the game justice to the level of gore and fatalities in it. And so I remember that was kind of a big letdown for a lot of people at that time as well.
At the same time, though, your core audience was like 15, 16-year-olds, and this is the mid 90s. We still have parents who were trying to parent at the time, so they weren't going to take their kids to that kind of movie. So it made sense.
Yeah.
Bro, but what I will say though is, it's a bit of double talk on Midway's part, because this is back when Midway still had the rights to Mortal Kombat before Midway went bankrupt. And Midway,
Who does Mortal Kombat games now?
Dude, I don't remember offhand.
I'll look it up.
But because this was during the whole video game rating trial, the Senate hearing that led to the rating system, the ESRB, and Midway's justification was, we made a mature game for a mature audience. That's our target demographic. We are not targeting this violence towards younger participants, and we won't be held liable because it's not our responsibility to parent your children.
Yeah,
right.
That was their justification in the Senate hearings. And then they turn around in this and they're like, hey, we're going to target this towards children, so we're going to take the blood out of it. And it's just like they're double talking now, because now all of a sudden, yes, we are.
So, to answer the question, Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat currently, which makes sense since all the Mortal Kombats are on HBO Max right now. I want to point this out here, John, because it doesn't look like Midway had a lot of say within the movie. New Line Cinema and Threshold Entertainment were the main people behind it. And New Line, this was the era when New Line was doing things like all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so they were the company who goes, we're going to market, and we're very good at marketing towards younger people. And so if I had to guess, I would say that they overrid Midway's thoughts on it because they knew that they could sell it.
Here's the thing, though. Midway still has the final say in that. In all publishing, basically all New Line would have had was the rights to make the movie per the okay of Midway. Midway could have made any kind of stipulation that they wanted to do. And where I understand where you're coming from as far as New Line Cinema being the Ninja Turtles company. A little bit of something, because I know this isn't your bag, but New Line Cinemas also was the company that broke Freddy Krueger into the mainstream as well. The Nightmare on Elm Street series originally was released through New Line. So they also understood how to make gory films and make money off them by selling them to a mature audience. So this very well could have been, I don't want to say adult movie because that gives off a different connotation, but this could have been targeted to a more mature audience with the violence. And I believe it probably would have been not only more successful, but it probably would have had more longevity than the cash grab that it ultimately ended up feeling like.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, this was a major cash grab. How much money did this film make? Because I know this made loads of money.
It did well, yeah.
It did. Yeah, because I know this movie was talked about so much, and like I said in the beginning, was that when pastors were preaching, like, don't send your children to watch this and promote this type of movies and so forth. And I'm just like, I don't even have a television. Why are you telling me this?
According to Google, Mortal Kombat, 1995, the film enjoyed a 3-week stint at number 1, grossing $73 million domestically in the U.S. It also earned $51.7 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $124.7 million.
In the 90s.
In the 90s.
Wow.
I don't care if that's today. That's still loads of money.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Once you say million, that's all right.
That's a big deal in the 90s, though.
Yeah.
That was the reason why Mortal Kombat Annihilation got greenlit.
So basically, all of those kids and teenagers saved all the quarters instead of playing the Mortal Kombat at the arcade. They watched the movie,
which explains
Mike.
Which explains the quality of Mortal Kombat 3. Okay. Oh, and to be fair, when new Mortal Kombat games did get released in the arcades, it was about $1 to play, sir, not a quarter. You had to pump multiple quarters in.
Oh yeah, they were expensive games.
It was again Mortal same Kombat thing. Quarters. Games, yeah. You're saving quarters to play. Again,
it was 50.
Inside.
But it was
50 cents
quarter,
for me.
It was 4.
Plural.
I didn't say quarter. I said quarters. Plural. Plural.
Oh my gosh.
I laughed my butt off with the first fight scene when they did the first original, the first supposedly Mortal Kombat, when I said about the when he broke into ice and so forth with Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
they're all eating and they're just sitting down dining, and you see all the men are in there just like busting up and breaking up the tables. They're like cut, waxed, oiled up with their red hoods and flipping over the tables. Like, let's prepare the room. I'm like, have you never even thought about like, hey, let's get some Tupperware. Let's put this food somewhere.
Tupperware,
dude. I was on the same page. I was on that same page with you, bro.
I'm like, why are you throwing away all the food? That's a waste. I could eat some of that. What is wrong? Feed the crew.
Even when I starving children in Ethiopia, bro.
Even when I saw that back in the day, Shang Tsung said, "Let Mortal Kombat begin," and then like they threw the tables everywhere. I was like, "What are they doing? What's happening right now?"
It's like you knew this was going to happen. You could have made a space ahead of time so that you didn't have to like just throw the table across the room.
You really are evil, bro.
At most, 2 dudes could just like grab the other end of the table. Like, all right, go to the left, go to the right. I've moved enough tables at church over the years that we could have made this happen real quick. Give me 20 seconds. We've been done faster than the guy's throwing the tables around.
That scene was kind of cool.
Dallas,
How big was their palace? Were they on a budget?
Dallas, I think you should show that to Scott and be like, this is how we need to clear out the sanctuary from now on. Just
From now on.
That should clean up.
Fast and efficient.
And like when they did that, did they come back with like a broom? Just because that floor was spotless when the fight started. They tossed tables everywhere, food's everywhere, and all of a sudden it's a spotless rug. What happened to the food that was there?
I'm just picturing some lady with a mask on coming in with a push.
Well, she has
Looks
to
like Mortal Kombat has begun.
She has to scoop up the dead bodies, like the broken.
What do you think
frozen
was in the
pieces.
food, bro?
That was Soylent Green. I knew it.
Soylent Green's my kind of people. That's all I'm saying.
Charleston Heston was in the background.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know, there was a lot of dead bodies on the ground because you had those many monster scenes of just people just throwing themselves in the rocks.
I'm not gonna lie. That
cried
scene would have been
laughing.
so better if in the background you had let the bodies hit the floor. Like I need somebody to dub over that scene. Let the bodies hit the floor as they're just rolling on the ground.
I don't think
They'll be drowning in rocks, not in the pool.
I don't think new metal was quite really popular at that time.
Not yet. It was close, but not yet. Well, I think we've hit that moment where it's time to throw out the ratings here. Dallas,
Why don't want to talk about the various fight scenes because there's only so many fight scenes to talk about in this film.
Bro, all this movie was
fight
fight
scenes.
scenes. This movie was fight scene the movie. Is all it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
gosh.
someone should have called Jean-Claude Van Damme in this.
Or the Irish guy from Fatal Deviation. And
I so bet.
Then we could have flashbacks to parts of the movie that weren't even there.
Randomly saying things that don't make sense.
Well, this movie did left us on a cliffhanger.
But
Yeah.
Hey. All right. So Dallas, why don't you go ahead and explain the rating system to the listeners out there, and let's dive in.
Yeah, so our rating system is really pretty simple. We have Top Shelf, which is like, hey, this is a great movie. Everybody needs to watch this. I don't care what happens. This is a great movie. Then we have Middle Shelf. We're like, okay, I can see why people don't like it, but you enjoy it. It's a great movie to you, so you're going to have it. Bottom Shelf's like, oh no, this is trash. This is not good, but keep it around. And then there is the dumpster fire, which is where movies go that we never speak of again. And you know, to date, I don't think anything's ever been in the dumpster fire. It's not that I can ever remember.
Avatar went in the dumpster.
What movie's Avatar? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what Avatar are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Last Airbender.
What? No. I don't recall a movie called Last Airbender.
I see where you're going with this. What goes in the dumpster fire stays in the dumpster fire.
It is erased from history.
So let's go ahead and go around the circle. Dallas, what are you ranking this movie as?
All right, I'm going to rank this movie a middle shelf.
Really?
I enjoy this movie. I will bust this movie out every so often and just watch it for the heck of it. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe once or twice a year I'll pull it out because it's just fun. So that's my ranking for it. Middle shelf. Done.
All right, Branson.
Okay. let me gather myself for a second here. That was surprising.
Do you need us to come back to you, Branson? Do you need a moment?
No. I'm good. I'm good.
You're like Michael Myers. You're like Mike Myers from Saturday Night Live. I'm all the Klemts. Talk amongst yourselves. An eggplant is neither an egg nor a plant. Discuss.
No, I enjoyed the way the movie started. I thought it had a pretty decent start, but it kind of fell apart kind of quickly. It felt repetitive. Like it's been said before, it felt like that the whole point of the movie was the fight scenes, and there was very little storytelling in between. And the fight scenes were cool, but it got to the point where when we finally get to the big fight at the end, the big fight, I was just bored. It was like, oh, look, they're fighting again. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I wouldn't throw it in the dumpster fire, but I got to give this a bottom shelf. It's just it did not perform for me.
All right, so we have a middle shelf and a bottom shelf. Mike, you're the guest on the show. What shelf would you put this movie on in the rating system?
Middle shelf. I agree
Let's
with Dallas.
go.
I agree
Let's
with
go.
you. I can put this on anytime and have a good time watching it. I think that I like you guys said, I understand the problems. I'm very aware of the problems and how the movie looks, and it definitely hasn't aged that well. But I love it. I love it. I love watching it. I think it's a good time. Es- Especially, I didn't say this earlier, but especially the fight scene between Liu Kang and Reptile when he actually becomes a ninja
Right?
instead of the CGI garbage. When he actually becomes a ninja and Liu Kang and him, that fight scene, the
That's the
music,
best fight scene in the whole movie.
I agree. I agree. The music with it and how intense Liu Kang is and how he's growling the whole time and and then when I got to tell you when he did the bicycle kick and like it looks ridiculous because Reptile flips like 5 million times, but like
It's
that
like gravity
scene,
stops.
yeah, that scene like was it when in the theater when we were watching that, like my friend that I was sitting next to, I was like, "Oh, he did that in the game. That was awesome." And I don't know. It's just stuff like that. It just I don't forget stuff like that, so I'll put this on anytime and watch it and have a good time. So middle
All
shelf.
right.
Yeah.
One
I want to
bottom.
clarify my answer. I too understand the issues with the movie. I'm not denying that. That last fight scene, especially when he did his dragon punch, was trash. But
Yeah.
it's a fun movie regardless.
All right. Kevin, how are you rating this movie, bro?
Question for Mike: when you watched this movie in the theater,
Mhm.
did everyone like bust up cheering when Johnny Cage did that punch him in the balls scene?
There was a lot of laughter. Yeah.
Okay, because I know that was once that was supposed to be like a very popular in fight scene
This
for Johnny Cage, right?
Mhm.
Or one of his
That's one of his
signature
moves.
Yeah, the split
Okay.
punch or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
was
I was trying to
yeah,
remember because I was busting up laughing when that happened, and I was like, I'm
yeah.
guessing this is because it lingered on that for a moment, and my mind was instantly going like, this has to be a fight scene thing. But I know we're on a rating thing, but there's one thing I just had a question about. What was with the reptile? Was that in the video game? I don't
He
remember.
he was a hidden character in the
Any
video game.
he was a hidden character in the video game.
Mhm.
Okay, I just don't remember seeing any cosplay or anything with people
Yeah.
doing anything with a reptile, even with a CGI one. But I was like thinking, like, what is with this character? I
Yeah.
don't
If you were
understand.
a Mortal Kombat fan, seeing him excited you because he was a hidden character. Even Katana was a hidden character in the game, and so that's why that was a big
Okay.
deal was seeing Reptile.
Okay. Now that I got
And
that
you
out of the
and
way.
with the CGI in this movie, you could definitely say this movie had a reptile dysfunction.
Aw.
That's terrible.
Oh, nice.
I just broke
Oh
Kevin.
my gosh.
Nice.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah, it was. What was my rating? I don't even know.
Middle shelf. Continue on. All right.
Okay.
No. Come
I
on,
mean,
Kevin.
the movie is pretty dumb and it's stupid. I mean, it's cheesy, it's kind of fun. I mean, I don't know. It's like a mixed bag with this movie with me. I mean, it's not dumpster fire, but it's not near top. I don't know, middle shelf. I'll just put it in middle shelf.
Wow.
It's silly and dorky enough, and I guess I could watch myself watching this movie with people. I mean, one day I'll watch this movie with people again and actually hear people laughter instead of hearing everyone quiet as Branson and John. But yeah, I put in the middle shelf. Sure.
All right. Well, then my opinion really doesn't matter at this point. But
Okay, let's go on to the weak connections part where we don't have to care
Don't
about what
leave
John
me
says
alone,
anymore.
John. Come on.
Don't leave me alone.
go drink bleach, bro. All right. So,
I'm already white. Can't get any more whiter.
well, you haven't seen my legs, sir. I will say that this movie I expected more from it based off of my memories. It didn't meet up with it. I found some enjoyment in it, but honestly, I don't see myself pulling it out except for when I get nostalgic for it and forget how the movie actually is. I start to remember dialogue that's not there and plot points that don't exist, and then I'll put it in and have a reminder. It's a solid bottom shelf. I'll probably pull it out once every 5 years.
Gotcha.
Mortal Kombat once a generation, like the rules say. So
10,000
Right.
years.
so it's worth a rare watch, but it's not something I'd be like, bro. I'm not going to be like that guy at Walmart with Kevin and be like, this is a
Oh my
fantastic movie,
God.
bro.
That man drove me away. Drove me so like almost made me not want to buy the movie and first watch it because it was nonstop with this guy. Like I was walking away, he was still talking about. I was like, dude, I think he's really like in a loving relationship with this movie. And he had his girlfriend beside him. I was like, I'm pretty sure he would dump his girlfriend to watch this movie and whatever. Weird
All right.
guy.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the weak connections and see if anybody can find anything redeemable about Mortal Kombat.
This is a weak connection.
This is the weak connection section of the show, a concept lifted from our good friends over at Strangers and Aliens, where we try to find some sort of discernible spiritual truth or redeeming message that we can derive from this movie, no matter how far-fetched that idea may be. I don't know why I'm the one introducing this section because I have nothing for this movie. Nothing. So
John, Dallas, finish him.
Get over here. All right. I have a weak connection. And that is the Sung Chu's
Shang Tsung.
number 5 with a side of egg rolls.
Bro, I literally had Chinese food for lunch today, so
I wish I had.
You had American Chinese food, not Chinese food.
There is a difference.
Chinese food.
You don't know.
So-
you don't know.
Yeah. No, I know your taste for foods. You think mayonnaise is spicy. Stop, okay?
Jeez Louise.
Bro, I will punch you in the throat and make you sound like Christopher Lambert.
Go ahead and do it. Let's see your best shot.
That's right. He'll sound better in the next episode. So my weak connection actually comes from that conversation he had, not Shang Tsung. I'm sorry, I was talking about Raiden. Raiden's conversation with the team about fear, dealing with fear, and talking about facing your fears, which is a running theme, is face your fears. And it got me thinking about it because fear is one of those things that everyone deals with at some point in time. And you guys know for us here at the Bottom Shelf, we're believers in Jesus, and there's a lot of conversations in the Bible about fear and not fearing and whatnot. But I think that some people they take that conversation a little too far, and they act like if there's any sign of fear, then there's something wrong in their lives, or they act like that the fear itself, that if they're walking with Jesus, they shouldn't have anything to fear. Period. Nothing will ever scare them, and that's just not the case. There are things in our lives that will frighten us, that will shake us at times. The question becomes how we respond to fear. And I'm thinking about when Jesus was on the boat with the disciples and he takes a nap, and all of a sudden there's this massive storm that pops up and they're freaking out, and they go to wake Jesus up and they're like, hey, wake up because we're about to die. Now, when they're saying that we're about to die, they're not talking about themselves. They're suggesting even he's going to die. And he gets up and he rebukes the storm and he rebukes them, says, oh, you little faith. And he's not getting on to them for asking for help. I mean, Jesus is all about us asking for help. He's there for us. But his rebuke was about the fact that they allowed that fear to override their faith in him, override what they understand about who he is. And that's the real catch for us, that when we say, hey, don't fear, don't have doubts about these things. It's not about not having a little jump scare. It's a matter of don't allow that to interrupt your understanding of who God is and his place in your life. You will go through some terrifying times at times. It could be financial issues. It could be just something devastating taking place in your family, and you'll be fearful. The question is, will you allow that to shut you down and keep you from walking in what God has for you, or will you press through, understanding who Jesus is and understanding that he does work all things out to his good or to our good and to his glory. And so that's kind of my weak connection for us is, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it dictate what you're going to do and how you're going to make your next step in your life.
Awesome. Does anybody else have a weak connection before we shut this
I
thing
do,
down?
I do.
All right, Branson.
My weak connection is based on the only character that actually had a story arc, Johnny Cage. Um, when we first meet Johnny Cage, he's the big movie star. He's all concerned about his image. There's newspaper reports going on about calling him a fake, which I mean, he's an actor. I didn't really get that part, but anyhow, I digress. Uh, the scene that sticks out in my mind completely is when they first arrive on the island. He's getting off the boat, and his arms are loaded down with all of this luggage, and he's trying to carry all of his luggage. No one else has a single bag at all, and he's trying to carry like enough clothing for like 6 people. And at one point, he just drops everything in the water. He's just okay, forget this. And then you see him throughout the course of the show. He's caring less and less about his ego. He's caring less and less about his image or about his reputation. He's starting to care more and more about the tournament itself, to the point that he makes a deal with Shang Tsung and says, "Let me fight Goro next." And I think Raiden is even in there where he tells Raiden, "This is our fight, right?" And Raiden's like, "Ah, yes, they're finally starting to get it." Um, but that whole arc of him struggling with carrying, yeah, that whole thing of him struggling to carry all of this luggage and then just chunking it, and by the end of the movie, caring about the tournament, caring about fighting well, it reminds me of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Johnny Cage had to let go of this idea that he was going to the tournament just to prove himself. He had to let go of the idea that he was going to the tournament to make himself a better actor, a better movie star, a better fighter. He had to let go of all that and focus on what was important, which was winning the tournament to save Earth. And as Christians, a lot of times we carry a lot of baggage. We carry a lot of stuff, and it weighs us down. It inhibits us from doing what God calls us to do because we don't want to let it go. Like Johnny Cage with his bags, we got all this really important stuff that we got to keep close. And sometimes being a follower of Christ and chasing after Jesus means you got to let that stuff go. You got to let God come in and change what is important to you, so that things that seemed like next level important suddenly don't matter anymore because God rewrites your focus. And so that was my weak connection for the movie.
Word.
You got one, Kevin? Mike?
I do actually. So Shang Tsung and Liu Kang, um, that's a classic case of Shang Tsung playing like the devil and trying to guilt Liu Kang into feeling feeling guilty for the death of his brother. It's the classic case of the enemy, being a jerk and saying, "Hey, remember this?" and yet you're responsible. This is your fault, and trying to bait you and make you feel guilty for something that didn't even have you didn't have anything to do with. And Liu Kang responds. Eventually, he responds with, "My brother chose his own path. Every man is responsible for his own destiny." And so many of us, as we go through life, we feel responsible for the people that have walked away from the faith, or we feel responsible for something that didn't have anything to do with us. So that's a good little. It's a classic case of just Shang Tsung being the devil and trying to just make Liu Kang weak and feel like he was responsible and he wasn't.
Totally.
Very apt. Well, all right. Let's go ahead and shut this down. We want to thank everybody out there who is listening to the show. We certainly do appreciate our listenership out there. If you like what you hear, please like, rate, and subscribe. That puts us in front of more like-minded individuals who might be interested in what we're doing here. And check us out on our other projects. Mike, being as you are our guest for this episode and the next episode, where can people find you on the interwebs to check out what you're doing?
You could follow Boomstick Video on everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You could follow us on there. Our entire podcast archive is boomstick.video. Dave is our producer, so he is in charge of all that. So yeah, you can find us on anything. Follow us.
I highly recommend it too. It's a really good show. And Steve Arthur, who did the music for Boomstick Video, also did the music for Playing Games with Strangers, which is really exciting. So,
Yeah.
Dallas, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me and all the various projects I'm part of, mostly at geekdevotions.com, where you'll find links to our podcast, Calm Talk by Geek Devotions, this podcast right here, We Read Allegedly, and of course, all of our devotions we put out every Friday, where we take geek pop culture items like movies, video games, and comic books, and we just let you know that you're loved. And don't forget all the socials, just look for Geek Devotions. I really try to make it as easy as possible.
Branson.
I have a corner of Calm Talk called Bees Views and Reviews, where I review faith-based, family-friendly comics, and I promote the creators that make them. If you have a faith-based, family-friendly comic that you want to be promoted, you can email me at branson.boykin@gmail.com, or you can also just message me through Geek Devotions social media. There pretty much all the time. I also have another project in the works that'll be dropping in September, hopefully. Also, do you want me to mention the one shot, or do you want to do that?
Whatever you want to do, man. This is your
Okay.
opportunity to do whatever you want.
Okay, I am a Blade level patron on Playing Games with Strangers. It's a D&D podcast that John DMs, and because I'm a Blade level patron, I am getting the opportunity to participate in a one shot based on the Call of Cthulhu game system, and I am super duper excited to be a part of that. If you're someone who enjoys D&D podcast playing and you need something that is family friendly that the whole family can listen to, let me highly recommend Playing Games with Strangers. There's very few things out there that I'm willing to spend money on, but I am a patron of Playing Games with Strangers because I think it's that good.
Branson, your green screen effect makes it look like you're talking into Captain America's shoulder. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's my mic. For whatever reason, it keeps cutting my mic out, so I'm whispering into Cap's shoulder.
This is getting awkward.
Kevin, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, you cannot find me on Play Games with Strangers because I do not promote, I do not give money towards that thing, and I don't care about people dressing up playing games like that. But if you do want to find me, just look in the show notes.
Okay, well, Debbie Downer joined the show. All right. Of course, as you heard Branson say, I do DM for Playing Games with Strangers. I am a voice actor. I play Nick Foster on Supersonic Pod Comics. I read books allegedly with We Read Allegedly. I have other things I do. Oh yeah, I'm in a band called Mezzanine. You can find us on the Face Space. And Primitive Rhythm Machine is going away. I've got something in the works to replace it, so look forward to that soon. That being said, we hope you enjoyed what you're listening to. And Kevin, what's on the docket for next time we meet again?
A movie? On the docket. What docket? What are you talking about?
Awesome. Well, so glad that Kevin's on his professional game today. We can totally see how the
annihilate him.
All right. With that said, good night, everybody.